Now I'd just like to bring up a good friend of ours, Bob Geake, who wrote the book about this location, Slaves to Soldiers, and have him to just talk to us a bit. Bob, please.
Thank you, Charles. I want to thank everyone for coming today. It's important that public commemorations and acknowledgement of our past sacrifice and struggle remain a part of who we are as Americans. We are a nation that does not forget sacrifice, and a nation whose people must move us ever forward toward the ideals expressed in the founding of this imperfect union. I want to thank Risham and its board of directors for inviting and acknowledging, for what I believe at the first time at this site, the contributions and sacrifice of Rhode Island's indigenous population to the cause of the American Revolution. As many of you know, those indigenous men who fought were mostly enlisted in the 1st Rhode Island Regiment. This monument before us is not in tribute to any ordinary regiment, and by laying this medallion today, we begin to open the door wider to the greater story, the human story that lies beyond the muster rolls, the general orders, and the lists of wounded or invalids. These stories, artifacts, and articles now available will bring the courage, grit, and determination the enslaved among these men of color had to lay their lives on the line in order to be free, to fight for the ideals that they believed possible, if not for them, then for their children or grandchildren, when the descendants of those white men who had penned those ideals would come to realize that all men created equal must include men of color, must include indigenous people, and include all of the citizens of the United States. When these men stood shoulder to shoulder and musket to musket with their white and indigenous brothers in arms, and the Rhode Island Regiment became the first fully integrated regiment of the Continental Line, I believe they saw the dawn of that day. Though, as was proved with emancipation and equal rights, the road is long, and sometimes darkness seems to overtake the journey. And so we as historians and people who know that history matters must be the constant torchbearers of the truth and have faith that we can show others the way through remembrance, through the teaching of history, and most importantly, to learn the lessons of the past.